It's just whatever's quickest and easiest. This is me doing a side hustle. So I'm teaching how to do a side hustle while I'm starting, practicing, learning, messing around with a side hustle that I have no experience with. So anything I'm telling you here, I'm putting into practice right now with this content creation side hustle for me. So when to start? Now, okay. Just talking to myself. When do I start? When does Dave start the side hustle of content creation? And I made the decision that I was watching content and realizing that something was shifting where people, the least likely people, seem to be doing really well and being very successful. I think it also helps that a lot of content creators are putting out their earnings, and it very much shocked me how successful and how well they do. And it's normally the people that all they do is speak to the camera, have opinions, and I guess started a following by just starting. But they've all been at it for 10, 15 years. So I figured if I ever want to, if I was thinking about quitting my job, selling the company, completely changing my direction of employment in 10 years' time, when I'm 55, maybe I want to slow down, maybe I don't want to do plumbing, maybe I don't want the stress running a plumbing company. How do I go about navigating out of it? How do I emancipate myself? The one way would be, maybe I could be a content creator at that time. And by 55, I'll have a lot of experience in lots of different things. I already have a lot of experience, so I'm starting now. And it's purely just, yeah, doing it part-time while working, yes. So this current side hustle of content creation is not supposed to be too time consuming. It's not supposed to take up too much of my time. It's not supposed to be too stressful. It's not, I'm not doing it in a way where I think I would burn out or get sick of it or bored at this stage. Taking all the pressure off myself. Unfortunately, the YouTube algorithm is punting and pushing all of the content of, it's pushing people's channels who train, who teach how to be a content creator, which is okay, which is great, and the tips are fantastic. If I had more free time, if I had lots of free time, then I would be able to follow their tips. But the one tip, I take what I like and I leave the rest, because I don't want to get intimidated or put off because some very professional, polished person is telling me that I'm doing it all wrong. So I've taken on the just start, that's what I'm doing, and be yourself, get comfortable in front of the camera, do the 30-day challenge, and all things that I'm doing now. And I have found that I'm a lot more comfortable in front of the phone, and here's the phone or the camera. So that is happening, and I did get a bit of equipment. I got a microphone for my birthday from my wife and kids, me and my wife, and I got a little tripod when I was just walking around and I saw a selfie stick tripod, and I thought, great, that'll do. I can set it up. I've got it set up right now that I don't have to hold the phone or balance it up against it. I've got an actual tripod. So yeah, it's evolving. So, and then my experience with side hustles, there are a lot of side hustles out there, and it all depends. My entire life I've seemed to always find some sort of side hustle, some part-time job, some something that didn't take up all my time. It wasn't a lifelong commitment, and I could use whatever resources were at hand just to make a little bit of money, get a bit of pocket money. Unfortunately, we live in a world where you need to earn money to survive, and you have to come up with ideas. And sometimes just start. Currently, so I run a plumbing company, and I started setting up my business when I finished college. Okay, I was at university, and at university I was hating it and decided, while at varsity doing my undergraduate, I decided I wanted to do plumbing and start a business. This is when I was 23. I decided at 23 I wanted to start plumbing company. 23, 24 is when the wheels were turning. And while I was at college, then when I got my first job as an apprentice, in my first month, my first ever salary, first payment, first time I got paid. We used to get paid weekly. At the end of the first month, no, I saved up for a month. At the end of the first month, with my first 1 month salary, I went out and I bought a small grinder for my future company. And that's what I did for the 7 years that I worked at a company around the corner from me here in Kenilworth. I saved up every single week, every single month. I put things away. I built up flies. I bought uniforms from the company. Because it was always my intention. The apprenticeship was my job, and the side hustle was experimenting, starting my own business, getting logos set up, advertising big business cards, and using the income, some of the income, because obviously I still had to live as well, using some of the income from the plumbing company and some of my bonus to buy drain machines, drain rods. And my mom was also incredibly supportive of that. And right now, and then also when I was at college studying to be a plumber, I had the side hustle of pizza delivery. So I worked as a pizza delivery man at night. So during the day I studied, and at night I delivered pizzas. And that was for about 9 months I did that. I made a little bit of, made some pocket money, paid for petrol, got a bit of food money, going out money, savings. It was great. Yeah, and it wasn't a long-term, I didn't make a lifelong commitment to pizza delivery. And now, recently, before doing the YouTube side hustle, my wife and I, we do run 2 Airbnbs. We run 2 Airbnbs. I started doing Airbnb 9 years ago. Got a big old English house here in Kenilworth, Cape Town, and my mom and I built onto the house so that I would have a little flat for me and my family. Didn't have a family yet, I wasn't even married yet. My wife and I were engaged, we planned to get married, and my mom had a painting that she sold, a family painting, to build on so that she would increase the value of her asset, and she would have company and I could live with her. So it was a win-win. And then I moved in, it doesn't matter how long ago it was, but moved in, we lived here, and in the process of me living here, I was still full-time employed at a plumbing company, but within 2-3 years of moving in, I resigned, and I had built up everything on the side, with my side hustle, got everything ready so that I could launch my plumbing company. And the nice thing about starting my side hustle of my business, luckily it was in the same industry. A, I had the experience from working in that industry for 7 years, and B, I'd set everything up over 7 years methodically so that it was just a smooth transition from full-time employment to self-employed. And then during the years, so I launched my plumbing company in 2015, so it's 11 years ago now, and I've been doing Airbnb for about, on and off, for about 9 years. So 2 years into running my own plumbing company, I found that it's difficult starting a business with no capital and no clients and high expenses. And at that stage I had 5 plumbing vehicles, and 3 of them had major mechanical repairs needed. And there were lots of other little challenges. Me being bad at running a business, no experience as a business owner, too generous, too soft on clients, too many staff, whatever. And thinking that borrowing money from the bank was an investment. And the banks would just give me money because they saw all this money coming in all the time, so they knew I was good for it. And I suddenly woke up one morning and I had R1 million in debt. And that was 9 years ago, R1 million debt, which would be equivalent to probably about 1.3, 1.4 million rand in today's money because of inflation. So I had this massive amount of debt, and I realized, oh gosh, I got into this debt because I'm not making enough money from the plumbing company. There's not enough money coming in from the plumbing company, and I don't have any assets that I can sell to cover this debt. Even if I sold all 5 of my vehicles, I would maybe get 400,000 for them, and then I would still have to work for the next 20 years to make another 600,000 rand to pay off the rest of the debt. And all I would be doing is, for 20 years, working my butt off, slaving away, paying off the bank debt. So that's not great. So then I spoke to my mom, I spoke to my wife, and I discussed. I said, look, I'm desperate. There's nothing I can't think of any solution. And I had a friend who had been doing Airbnb. So that's how I got into the idea of Airbnb. And the flat that we built was spotless, fantastic, brand new, fully furnished. So I spoke to my mom and I spoke to my wife, and they both agreed. They looked at my situation. They both agreed that I was completely buggered. I was completely stuffed. I had no choice. I had to come up with a way to bring in more money. And they were kind enough to both. Well, we moved into the main house with our mom. We lived in her upstairs section because she was at that point quite disabled and had a bad back, bad legs. She was in her 70s. So she had moved downstairs, and the whole upstairs of our house, big old house. I think you've seen, if you go back and look at my videos, you'll see snippets of what the house looks like. Big old English house. So she was downstairs. The upstairs section was unoccupied, so there was space. So we moved in there. Difficult living with family though. Not easy living with family, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing it long term. But the nice thing with Airbnb is I could do it, my wife and I could do it for, let's say, 6 months at a time, and we could, it's a very user-friendly app. So yeah, so I did Airbnb. That was my side hustle for about 1.5 years, and I managed to pay off 700,000 rands worth of debt. I paid off a huge amount of debt, and paid off 2 vehicles that I had 2 vehicles on hire purchase on finance. I managed to pay those off, and then the money from those vehicles I could push into all the other debt. So that's what I guess the Dave Ramsey approach would call the snowball approach to paying off debt, where you pay off the smallest first, and you use the money that you're saving on those and you put it into the other debts, and they get paid off quicker and quicker, and as you go along it speeds up and suddenly you're out of debt. So that was my experience of a side hustle. I did it purely out of survival, and yeah, I've got a couple of examples of side hustles. So things that I've done, side hustles that I've done, that I'll probably, would be nice to speak about one at a time at a later stage, but this is just the introduction. So I've done Airbnb, Mr. Delivery, pizza delivery. I haven't done Uber Eats. Yes, do the research. So doing a side hustle can also be doing research into an alternative career. It could be trying things out. It could be a foot in the door, and it's a non-committal foot in the door, where if you hate it, you're not, uprooting your entire life to do Airbnb full-time, or Uber Drive. I didn't do Uber Drive. To do data capturing for extra money. Yes, get experience. Maintenance plans. Film extra. So I've done a lot of these. I worked as a film extra. I've done food